Chapter 9: A Man on the Moon. On December 21st, 1968, the U.S. successfully launched Apollo 8. It became the first manned spacecraft to orbit the moon and return safely. Then in July of 1969, President Kennedy's legacy was fulfilled when American astronauts Neil Armstrong, Edwin "Buzz" Aldrin, and Michael Collins reached the moon in Apollo 11. Their spacecraft consisted of three transports: a command module called the Columbia, a service module, and a lunar module called the Eagle. It was launched on July 16th by the Saturn V rocket. Collins manned the command module and orbited the moon, while Aldrin and Armstrong went down to the moon in the lunar module. Armstrong became the first human ever to step on the moon's surface. Aldrin became the second. Collins took photographs and acted as a communication hub. The three astronauts brought back the first geologic samples from the moon, including basalt, which is rocks made from molten lava, and breccia, which is rocks made from bits of older rocks. This epic event is remembered as one small step for a man and one giant leap for mankind. Earlier, the USSR had been working on their own manned spacecraft to go to the moon, the N-1, but it failed to launch. After Apollo 11, the USSR largely abandoned their moon program. However, in October of 2015, the head of Roscosmos, Russia's version of NASA, announced a new plan to send a manned spacecraft to the moon and achieve a lunar landing in 2029. Since Armstrong and Aldrin, only 10 people have walked on the moon, all U.S. astronauts. The Apollo 11 flight is considered by some to be the end of the space race, although Cold War tensions continued between the two countries for many more years. A U.S.-USSR space collaboration. In July of 1975, there was a first ever joint space venture between the U.S. and USSR. The U.S. docked an Apollo spacecraft, an unnumbered command service module, with a USSR spacecraft, the Soyuz 19, at an altitude of approximately 142 miles. Up in the air, the hatches were opened and the astronauts and cosmonauts visited each other's crafts, ate together, and exchanged gifts. They conducted experiments and learned from one another's work. At ground control in Houston and Moscow, American and Soviet scientists tracked data together from the two spacecraft. After undocking, the Apollo created an artificial solar eclipse by blocking the sun, which allowed the Soviet astronauts to photograph the sun's corona, an envelope of luminous gas that is normally visible only during a total solar eclipse. The Apollo-Soyuz venture marked a brief period of goodwill during the Cold War tensions. Between 1994 and 1998, there was another collaborative space venture, this time between the U.S. and the country of Russia, formerly a republic of the USSR. It was called the Shuttle Mir Project. The International Space Station. The International Space Station, or ISS, is a space station that was constructed while in low Earth orbit, mostly by the US and Russia, but with the help of other countries as well. It started out as an American project under President Ronald Reagan in 1984. Assembly of the ISS wouldn't begin until 1998, and it became fully operational in 2009. It contains a number of habitats, laboratories, and other facilities. Many astronauts have gone up to the ISS to conduct scientific experiments and perform other important work. Ever since the U.S. Space Shuttle program was shut down in 2011, after the Space Shuttle disasters of Challenger in 1986 and Columbia in 2003, the Russians' Soyuz spacecraft have been the only way for American and other astronauts to travel to and from the ISS. The ISS continues to operate today. To date, the record for consecutive days spent in space by ISS astronauts is 340 days.